everyone. Welcome to Infigon Talks. My name is Ramani Desai and I will be the host for today's interview. Infigon Talks is a part of Infigon Future's flagship program where mentors from various institutes motivate and inspire aspiring students across the country. For today, we have a Heritage Institute of Technology graduate in mechanical engineering. Later on, done his MBA from IIM Trichy and is currently working as associate consultant at IBM. Hello, Mr. Dwaipan. Welcome to Infigon Talks.
Hello, Ramani.
Yeah,
Hello to all of your viewers as well.
so we're honored to have you here with us in the interview.
Thank you. It's same for me.
Yeah. So, as I mentioned in the introduction, that you were an engineering student and later on you went on doing MBA. So, tell us about your journey to IIM. How was the course of journey from being an engineer to going in management field?
Yeah, let me tell you. So, engineering was a very natural progression from science, and it was not a decision that was thought through in depth. So, post engineering, when it was, I had the maturity to explore career options and sort of introspect about how my personality would be aligned to the prospects that engineering offer. It's something I found that engineering, the kind of jobs that were offered on campus, for example, one of the major recruiters was IT, and then maybe shop floor jobs, which were particularly linked to my area of study, that was mechanical engineering. I felt that somehow I was not very well suited to do that because I did not have a natural inclination or the technical knack to excel in engineering in the long term. That is what I
Yeah.
had figured out in the initial few years of engineering. So while I was exploring different options, of course, if engineering goes out of the way, the only option is either MBA or going through a job, then maybe later switching avenues or something like that. But I decided
Yeah.
to take the leap early. It was not absolutely set in stone that I would actually pursue MBA right after college. But again, these things are fundamentally very unpredictable. Just because you appear for CAT doesn't make it's no guarantee that you will get the college of your dreams.
Yeah.
But I still decided because I had a lot of time. So a lot of kids, what they do is once they get placed earlier during the academic year, they spend the rest of the year partying or you know making short films or whatever the cool thing is of that particular year or something. But I
Yeah.
decided that I had some time, at least 6 months after I had gotten my campus job, and I decided to use it to prepare for CAT. Again, that too on largely a whim. I mean, I was not super informed about how the process was, but I just saw that
Yeah.
it's an MCQ exam. MCQ is something that most engineers are quite comfortable with rather than
Definitely.
writing. So, so yeah, I just took CAT. That way it's quite random to be honest. I had a friend I used to play football with, and suddenly he just told me that I'm going to IIM Shillong. I had no
Oh.
clue about how to get to an IIM. So I said, please explain to me what this process is, and that's all. It's it's pretty random, but yeah.
Yeah. So it all fell in place for you eventually, something
that,
like
that
that.
that happens with a lot of things, I guess. I mean, a lot of very small things fall into place for your desirable outcome. We usually attribute it to your skill, but there's significant luck involved as well.
Yeah. Right, right. So, as you said that you use those 6 months to prepare for your CAT exam. So, does that mean that you prepared for your CAT in 6 months time period only?
Yeah,
That's
mostly 6 months.
and cracking it and landing up in IIM. That's actually great. So, could you give us more insight on how did you prepare for your exams or in the entrance
Sure,
exam? Yeah.
sure. I think the books. So this is I'm talking about 2015. This is pre-Geo, by the way. So the market
Okay.
the preparation market has significantly changed. So I remember I used to have a Tata Photon dongle. Nobody knows what a dongle is anymore. So the online space had still not exploded to the level that it is now. Okay, so now there
Yeah.
are pretty much online what do I say, online offerings for each and every stage of a preparation. So for example, there are YouTubers who do tremendously well in terms of
Yeah.
teaching a particular area. So maybe quants, or there is someone who is amazing at teaching English, and there
Yeah.
were the usual. So I personally decided not to go for those classroom coachings because I felt that from a conceptual point of view, there was, I think, not a lot of material to be learned. Contrary to if you go for, say, maybe a master's in engineering, there are a lot of conceptual. There's a the breadth of the syllabus is very large. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Right.
better if someone explains to you which particular part to focus on versus clarifies your doubts and stuff like that. CAT is not like that. Fundamentally, in my opinion, what CAT tests is your ability to handle unpredictable situations. So
Yeah.
no
Right.
matter how much you practice, eventually the question that you get in your hall is not something you will probably never have seen before. So your prowess of solving questions, that is what it tests primarily. So I thought that going for these classroom coachings would not be a very wise option because involve a lot of time and traveling and stuff like that. So I decided to do the study part on my own, but I took mocks from Career Launcher and used to do a lot of mocks and analyze them, which part to
Yeah.
improve on, which part not.
That's
This is
that's great.
okay. And secondly, I guess so. If I may, so I took CAT. Okay, it was the year when the format. Okay, so let me give you an understanding how the preparation landscape looks now. Okay, so now
Yeah.
there are largely online players for each and every subject,
Yeah. Right.
and they're quite brilliant, and some of them are extremely entertaining as well. You can see some teachers having their own sort of cult following on YouTube. They're being poached by An Academy. So all stuff. There was this guy called Ravi Handa who recently got acquired by An Academy. So this space is consolidating rapidly,
Yeah.
but there are still plenty of online players like Set King and all this stuff. I don't. I'm not extremely well versed with that because I took at some 5 years ago. But
Yeah, that's great. But you did everything on your own, so that really shows off. If you're dedicated to dedicated to something, you can do like anything basically, which actually is an inspiration. I think viewers must have got a kick of inspiration from this, as you did everything on your own and in that 6 month span. So if you have that willingness, I feel, to do something, you can do it no matter how many challenges that you face. So coming to challenges that
may
you were
drink a bit of water. Is that all right?
yeah, yeah, sure.
So,
So as
yeah,
I was
Ramana.
saying, yeah, as I was saying that you faced, you were a fresher, right? As you, like, from the fourth year after your placement, you directly studied for 6 months and landed up in IIM. So being a fresher, I must say that you must have faced a lot of challenges when you started your MBA journey. So could you share some insight on that?
Yeah, yeah. One of the major handicaps was that in fourth year, CAT was not the rage. So I was one of those very, very few people who was at home studying when all of my friends were partying and having fun. So
Yeah.
it was a bit lonely at times because a lot of people don't, empathize with the fact that you're on this journey. But what I'll tell you, the major handicap with respect to preparation would be, one thing is, when you have not worked, it is very difficult to explain your decision to do an MBA, especially if you're from an engineering background.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you're from a commerce or some other non-engineering background, or maybe if you're from BSc or something, it is not expected that you will land a job straight out of campus, and if you'll continue that for some time. I mean, it is significantly changed now.
Yeah.
So now a large proportion of B school batches would include people from commerce and science and law and stuff like that. So in 2015-16, it was not the case. The majority of the students were still engineers, majority of them having work ex. So that is one difficulty, and also when you have not have had a glimpse of professional life in general, so you are not aware of what being a professional entails on a day-to-day level, and you don't know the org structure of a company, and you cannot differentiate basically about the position of an MBA and a non-MBA in an org structure.
Yeah.
Right. So for example, MBA hierarchies and non-MBA hierarchies are different in a lot of companies. They are different in a lot of companies. They're not different in a lot of companies. For example, if you are in a startup, you having an MBA does not really matter. But in most of MNCs and stuff, the hierarchies are quite different. So I had zero understanding of that. Okay, because none of my friends. It's not like I had a friend or a brother who had been through this path. So that is a major area where I lacked knowledge, and which I had to for which I had to face some difficulty during my interviews, because I could never explain why an MBA is an obvious career choice for someone like me.
Yeah. Definitely. Even I think there's a lot of stereotype going on. Why an engineer does, like, if he has a technical degree, then why he does this, like a management, business management, goes in management field. So yeah, that there's a lot of stereotype goes around it. But I feel that at the end, it matters like what one wants to do in life and what
But
one
you
is
have to
passionate about.
explain your decision very articulately, backed up by very, very strong reasoning.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
that is where the difficulty is. I mean, so the point is well taken. I mean, why would you jump into another degree, or maybe which completely changes your domain without having any organizational exposure or professional exposure?
Yeah.
So that is something you will have to explain, and no answer is an extremely convincing answer. You will have to. So one of these things is that every candidate would have their own unique narrative, which ties down to their personality, their experiences, their dreams, etc. And somehow you have to fit into the MBA into that story. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that it's impossible, but yeah, you need to look deep within to frame the ideas that you're going to present.
Yeah. Perfectly put together, right? Rightly said. So, coming back to the job that you're into right now, you are an associate consultant at IBM. So, according to you, what are the skill sets required to being a consultant?
Being this industry, the first and foremost skill is that this industry, the degree to which you interact with professionals who are your clients, it's extremely high. Okay.
Yeah.
So you will probably be spending days. I mean, of course, with COVID, it's a little different, but without COVID, there'd probably be very, very long hours that you'd be spending presenting your ideas or your offerings or your company's offerings to your client. So it is very important to hone your soft skills. By soft skills, I mean communication and presentation. This is by far what I feel, this is my opinion, by far the most important skill that a consultant has to have, because it is likely that the people who you will be interacting with have a lot more experience than you in that particular area of work or that domain that you're working. So to present yourself as a mature professional, even though you have say like 1/10 of the experience that they've had, requires you to hone your soft skills to a very large degree.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's great, Mr. Dwaipayan. And I feel, yeah, all the viewers must also have like taken notes from it. So yeah, so as you said that the skill sets are the most amount of skill sets which are required are soft skills. Yeah, yeah. That, so as we come to the last question, can
Oh,
you share?
also, you have to be hyper organized, by the way, if you work in this
Yeah.
industry.
Oh, yes, definitely, I feel. And yeah, so coming back to the last question, please share some tips to inspiring students who want to get into IIM.
So, if you want to get into IIM, first and foremost, please practice a lot.
Hmm.
Secondly, evaluate yourself on a very frequent and regular basis. That is
Yeah,
the only way to get better. Okay, so if you do say 20 sums in from a book, that really does not amount to much if there are people who are better than you at doing those same 20 sums, and you won't get that, you won't be able to assess what your level is if you study in a corner of a room or something. So it's very important to go for mocks. Please do go for mocks, and please assess yourself as to where you lie with respect to your competitors. And it is very important, is more important to focus on the analysis of those mocks rather than studying the concepts. Of course, that is deeply very important, but I feel the number one priority that an aspirant should have is to analyze his or her performance against his peers and then act
yeah,
accordingly.
yeah, definitely. I feel the same.
Oh, and secondly, don't try to preempt cat. Don't do that.
Oh,
Don't
okay.
try to preempt what kind of questions ki yaar ये यहाँ से इतना आएगा and I will यहाँ से इतना आएगा ये कर दूंगा. Don't try to have a very rigid plan about how you're going to ace that exam. There is a reasonable level of flexibility that you require because it's going to throw surprises.
Yeah. I guess the matter of fact that any entrance exam throws surprises towards you because it's never really fixed that ये इसी
Mm.
chapter से आएगा because
Exactly.
because it's always evaluating the complete skill sets of a student. So yeah, definitely that you said that everybody will agree with. So yeah, here is where we end our interview. Thank you, Mr. Dwaipayan, for joining us. And for the viewers, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Infigon Futures.